Yo, what is up, Seminole family? Florida State Nation, an 863 tribe. It's Tuesday. So y'all know what time it is. Time for a little bit of this hangover action. FSU's got a new senior defensive analyst. We're going to talk a little about Mr. Randy Shannon. Is this a good move? Bad move? What is the meaning of this move? I got an idea. We're going to chop it up on that a little bit. And we're going to preview this spring game that will be coming up here Saturday. We're going to preview the spring game. Some things are being ran a little bit differently in this spring game. So we're going to break that down and see just exactly what that means. But, man, we got all of this and so much more today on The Hangover. We in here, baby. Let go. Represent your shit.
Need a horn in the drum roll.
Never talk to them boys that sat on them benches. I never talk to them boys that sat on them benches. I was in the game on 4th and inches.
Oh, shoot. Hold on. There we go. What is going on, everybody? It's your boy POLK, a.k.a. a.k.a. the Got Damn Truth. And we are live on a Tuesday. About to do a little bit of breaking down this spring game, spring game coming up, this Randy Shannon hire. By the way, you can always find these episodes on Podbean and Spotify if you're not able to listen in on YouTube. So if you're busy doing your everyday housework, driving to work, or just at work, period, Podbean and Spotify is where you want to tune in. And I'm doing something else new today. I'm on Facebook Live right now as we speak. Figure why not give it a shot. See how that helps the channel potentially. But first and foremost, you guys can always catch me here on YouTube at 863 Seminole TV. And now that we got all the formalities out of the way, how's everybody doing on this beautiful Tuesday? Well, it's beautiful here in Hawaii. I don't know how it is where you guys are. Let's get to the roll call, not waste too much time. Let's get to the roll call, and then let's just jump into these topics. Noel Squad is in the building. Island Boy, Tyler, Mark, Aiden, Antonio, Monet, Riley, and that's all we got for right now. Please hit the like button on your way in. 14 in the building with more to come. Let me put the banner up. Bam. Now let's get it cracking. Priscilla's in the building. Randy Shannon. Rose 226 Tim. I see you guys. Everybody's starting to creep in now. Randy Shannon is FSU's senior defensive analysis. Senior defensive analysis. Now, what does that mean? Is that a good hire, bad hire? I think it's a very solid hire. First of all, I don't expect Randy to come in and really do much X's and O's, if any. I think they strictly brought Randy in because one of the major criticisms from this past season from Mike Norvell, one of the main criticisms was what? One of the main criticisms was he doesn't have any South Florida ties. He's not recruiting the state of South Florida, as it's called. He's not recruiting it very well. He doesn't have any relationships down there. Well, what does Randy Shannon do? Well, Randy Shannon puts you in the homes, in the schools, in the ears of those kids, of those parents, of those coaches. Definitely helps you out with kind of entrenching yourself down there in South Florida. So I do think that is a big move for Norvell and company. Frank Abel's in the building. How you doing? The only thing people that I've seen maybe have a little bit of questions about the move. I think people are kind of worried. Todd Pope in the building. People are a little worried that we're in a similar situation of Levitt and Harlan Barnett. I don't believe that this is at all that case. I don't think Adam Fuller is looking over his back. First and foremost, FSU fans, I don't know how big of an upgrade Randy Shannon would be over Adam Fuller. So don't think for a second that this is a potential replacement for Fuller. While I like what Randy's going to bring in terms of his Florida relationships, I mean, this is a guy that's coached at the University of Florida. This is a guy who's coached at Miami, obviously, UCF. I mean, he's been everywhere, all over the state. That is the key. That is the key. X's and O's wise, I will pass on Randy Shannon, but I don't think this is a case that Adam Fuller's looking over his back. I don't think this is the case where you're having two defensive coordinators like we did with Harlan Barnett and Jim Levitt. As we all know, Willie really wanted Levitt. He never really wanted Barnett. So I think you're looking at it from if you're looking at it from that angle, I think you're mistaken. If you look at it from what I believe is really what it is, I think you got a guy just that's going to help recruit. He's going to help hit the trail, and he could possibly be a ear for Adam Fuller if Adam Fuller has some questions. Definitely can come in and have some pointers or some big time experience. But I don't think it's somebody that we need to be thinking this is the potential replacement for an Adam Fuller. So it's a solid move. I don't think it's a make or break type move, but I do think it's better to have him, because I don't even know. Somebody tell me in the chat, did we even have a defensive analysis last year? Did we have a senior defensive analysis? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Dennis is in the building. Mayan King, Jen Fari, T2Y, D Thompson. So the 30 people in the building, hit the like button. And Montre is in the building. So we are definitely, I think we're in a decent spot. John Shields in the building. I see people saying we should have kept Telly Lockett. I don't disagree per se. I definitely don't disagree. But Telly Lockett obviously would have had to take a demotion. Frankly, let me put it to you in this. Let me put it to you like this. What they just did with Randy Shannon is what I've been asking the last couple weeks for them to do with Odell Higgins. That's all they're doing with Randy Shannon. Ding, 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 ding. What they're doing with Randy Shannon is what I think they need to do with Odell. Transition him to that type of a role. Defensive analysis. Okay, cool. All that is that man's going to get out there and hit the trail. Now, can a defensive analysis, can these type of guys, can they go in? I don't think they're allowed to actively hit the recruiting trail. I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know if they're actively allowed to go and visit kids and do all of that. But it's not too hard to get on the phone with Randy Shannon and say, "Hey, I want you guys to talk to Mike Norvell, my head coach. I know this family. I know these people. You know, that's what I think is happening here. That's the move I wish we would do with Odell and kind of upgrade that uh, defensive tackle coach position. But that's a whole nother conversation that we've had a million times, so we're not going to get into that. Florida State love in the building. But just speaking on Randy, I think that's the move. I don't know how long Randy's going to be here. I don't know how I don't expect this to be some type of crazy coaching debacle going forward. I think we're smarter than that when we won't make that same mistake twice. Tim says Coach Telly would have got deep into Miami recruiting for all the powerhouses down south. You're not wrong at all. We definitely wanted to keep him, but we can't keep crying over spilled milk, Tim. Telly's long gone and probably not coming back. I don't see him coming back in the future. So let's move on. Instead, they got a guy who has a very good track record recruiting wise in South Florida and Randy Shannon. I don't think you can knock that hire, especially at the position that they're giving him. It's not like, so solid move, man. It's a solid move. You don't have Telly Lockett no more. You got to get somebody to deep down dig their heels into Miami, Dade, Broward, Palm Beach. Randy Shannon's the guy that's going to do that. So Randy is a de facto DC because he has to be better than Fuller. That's kind of the Wayne. That's, for every move, there's going to be a positive and a negative, and people want to talk about one thing or another. I'm not saying anybody's necessarily said that, but I think that could be a conversation that that you might hear. I don't think that's going to be the case. Tyler says, I definitely don't see how you could be upset at the hire. Former head coach helping out certainly isn't a bad thing. Right. And at the position you're putting him in, it doesn't hurt. I don't see how it hurts. Todd says, I have a feeling that Odell might be the new AD. That'd be a very huge jump for Higgins. I don't necessarily know. There. Kane Zay is in the building. So that's really all I really got on Randy Shannon. I don't really think it's a move that needs to be deep down and diagnosed and all of that full. You're naming guys, Tim, and no one's saying you're wrong. You name two guys, you name two running backs, but no one's saying you're wrong. But I can name you an entire recruiting class from Miami that was all recruited by Randy Shannon. So we can really go back on the fourth. Nobody's saying that Telly Lockett wasn't a guy that, I'm one of the first people that said, I wish you would have kept Telly on the staff. But I'm not going to continue to cry over spilled milk about it. It's over. It's done with. Telly ain't coming back. Randy Shannon's a nice pickup and another guy that's going to have you think about it. Look at what they're doing in South Florida without Randy Shannon. You mix Randy Shannon and Ryan Bartow together, I think you got some pretty solid moves. I think that's some pretty solid moves we can make down there. Let's read some more comments, and then we're going to move on to the spring. You guys can give me your feelings on the hire. Personally, again, solid move. It's not a move that's going to shock the football world, but I was pleasantly surprised at the move. I thought that's a good move, especially for a bunch of coaches that don't really know a lot of people down here. Randy was a good move. And I think Randy comes fairly cheap. I think UCF is still paying Randy Shannon. I could be wrong there. So I think Randy comes fairly cheap. So I don't know, man. I think it's a win-win. I don't know why we would want to question the move. He came here with Jimbo talking about Telly. Good point, Noel Squad. Well, I think what 226 is saying, though, Telly coached those kids in high school. He wasn't when Jimbo. Yes, that they recruited them. Jimbo recruited Freeman and Cook. I think what Tim is saying is that Telly recruited those kids in high school. He did not. He obviously wasn't here on the staff, but he did recruit those kids. He did coach those kids in high school. Plus, this is the fourth school in Florida that Shannon has coached at, so he probably knows the whole. That's what I mentioned, Wayne. He knows the entire state. He's been everywhere from North Florida to South Florida. I mean, the guy is, yeah. He's, if anything, if nothing else, because I'm not a fan of Randy Shannon's X's and O's as far as a defensive coordinator either. I'll be the first to tell you. But as far as we're just talking about connections, I don't see how it's a negative move. Randy Shannon was just recording Booker T. Yeah, he was. That's true, Montre. OJ says, "How's the QB battle looking?" We're gonna get into the spring here in a minute. I did not watch the Clemson spring game at all. Jordan Travis is looking like the QB1. That's what I'm hearing. R.A. Nixon says, "What up, my boy? Garnet and gold till I'm dead and cold. Gold knows. And Mind Kings don't forget Sabbath Joseph." So, yeah, it's a solid move. Randy Shannon's a good move, guys. I think analysis can call kids, get into contact, and host them while they're here. If that's true, again, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they can't hit the trail, but if they can call a kid, and I expect the dead period to end in May. It was pushed to May. I do not. I mean, with everything that's going on, I mean, FSU's about to have 50, 60 kids at this spring game come Tuesday. I think out of the 60 some odd kids, 45, if what I read correctly, are four stars plus. Some people are expecting at least 3 commits come Saturday. We can talk about the over or under on the 3. With that said, why not just cut the dead period? Let's get this recruiting stuff on and stop acting like we're really you're keeping these kids from really doing something that they want to do. So that's all I'm saying. Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. Randy Shannon, y'all put him at defensive line or linebacker coach would be the preferred move if you were asking X's and O's. If you wanted Randy to have an on-field spot, to me, linebacking coach would be the preferred move. Not so much defensive line, but linebacker coach. Man, give Fuller all the assistance that he need. I'm all for it because he need all the damn help he can get. I want to see how the wideouts are going to look. That's from Todd. And the spring game is going to definitely be popping. Okay, everybody wants to talk spring. To hell with Randy. T2Y says Clemson is looking human again. And Wayne says we have to move on from Willie and his staff. Those guys aren't coming back. We are doing just fine with the next 2 recruiting classes. Speaking of recruiting classes, we did get a commit from a 2024 kid. Let me look him up real quick. I believe he was a tight end, 2024. I'm trying to find his name. Somebody help me. I know I should have wrote it down. I mean, it's a long way away, but it's a 2024 kid. Man, what is his name, guys? Somebody give me his name. Okay, I'm not gonna look for it because it's too far down my line. And I'm doing a Thomas, tight end Thomas, like Landon Thomas or something like that, right? So we got him. So speaking of recruiting, Tim says, "Listen, man, I'm not arguing what you're saying. You asked a question, I answered your question, and explained for an inside view of what I know, my boy. Are you right? What you're saying? We need O-linemen. It's going to rain, so I might have to stay home and watch Dion get beat again. We have over 80 guys on the list, I think. I expect quite a few won't make it, but if we get just 50 of those guys to show up, it will be awesome." Logan, is it Logan Thomas? I don't think is it Logan? I think it's like Landon, but somewhere around there, Kevin Smith. But you guys know exactly who I'm talking about. CJ, what's going on, my guy? He says, what's up, man? Just dropping in right quick. Hit the like button, people. Subscribe if you're new. That's right. Tell them subscribe if you're new. We are 5 away from 1,000. I can't get these last 5 or 6 of y'all to subscribe for whatever reason. So if you popping in here and you're not subscribed, what are you doing? So by all means, subscribe to the channel. Spring game. Coach Norvell put out some interesting information. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, they are at this moment, they are interviewing different staff members. I think Atkins was being interviewed about 10, 15 minutes ago. Norvell has already been interviewed. But Norvell put out a very interesting nugget on how our spring game is going to kind of play out. I don't know if I like it or dislike it. It's going to be different for sure. Definitely going to be interesting. He basically said, I'm trying to find the exact quote, but he's basically said they're going to scrimmage for about 2 quarters. Hold on, let me just type this in. I want to get the exact quote, so I put out the correct information. He talked about the practice today kind of being a mixed bag. He wasn't too happy about today's practice. I am all over the place today. Hold on. Like I can't find none of my information. There we go. Okay. So Norvell basically said that today did they delete it? Man, Norvell basically said today they are going to run, or Saturday they're going to run 2 quarters of a scrimmage. They're not going to be doing because of depth and injuries, they were going to limit like the 1s versus the 2s basically. Won't do anything too crazy like a draft or anything like that. They're going to do just 2 quarters of the scrimmage for whatever reason, which is okay. But then he said something that was interesting. He said they're after the 2 quarters, they're going to do something special with with I don't know if that means special guest coaches. I guess he's trying to make a spectacle out of the spring game this year, and I think due to injuries, he's maybe trying to limit sort of what what the plan is and what we're doing. So I kind of get it. But if you thought you weren't supposed to take anything we saw from spring too serious before, I would argue that this year even more so. I would not hold anything. I would not take anything real away from this spring game if I were you guys. Because I don't really think we're gonna get much. I don't think they're gonna risk too many injuries. If they're already struggling with injuries, I don't expect them to risk too many. I don't expect okay. Norvell says the spring game will be 2 quarters of traditional scrimmage, but it won't be split into 2 separate teams due to injuries and depth, which means you'll probably just be seeing 1s versus 2s for the most part. However, with the offensive line will probably play for both teams, or both, I guess, for both quarterbacks. Then this the interesting part, some competition stuff at the end with guest coaches getting involved. I don't know what that means. When he say competition stuff, maybe they'll be racing, like running the 40, stuff like that fans will want to see. I think that's interesting for the game. And how much of that does ESPN show? Well, it'd be on the ACC network. Will they just be showing the 2 quarters of games, or will they or of the game? Will they be showing the stuff at the end? I don't know. I don't know. Sounds like a kind of a gimmicky spring game this year. So take that for whatever it's worth. Again, I don't expect too much out of the spring, if we're being honest. Kavion Glenn transferred to Georgia Southern. Oh no, I saw it earlier. But Kavion Glenn has found a home, so shout out to him. Hope he does great things. But yeah, man. So I mean, that news from Norvell is a little bit. I don't know. Again, that's a little bit for me. I don't know how you could really in 2 quarters take anything from that. I know. Once those 2 quarters are done, that people are going to be losing their minds what they see. Matter of fact, speaking of that, I will be live streaming the game or during the game. You guys want to come join me and watch it. And then after that game, as of right now, I'll be going live with Mark Rogers, and we're going to talk about exactly what we saw in the spring game. So live stream during the game, click over to Mark Rogers, and we're going to talk about exactly what we saw in the spring game. If anything, with those 2 quarters and stuff, I'm not too sure what you take from it. I'm not too sure what you're really going to see from it. 45 people, hit the like button. Let's get to the comments and see what you guys are talking about. I read that he did. They talk about a kicker. Clemson's lost its backup QB to a ruptured Achilles. So Alabama can't wait to set records. Miami week 1. The rain may factor into how the game is played as well. A lot of people keep talking about the rain in Tallahassee. So that could definitely not be a good thing. It's, preferably you want it nice and sunny. Especially if you're going to have all those commits or, all those recruits on in the game. Derek Neal says the guests are Jean Deckerdoff, the lady from ESPN that covers, probably talking about, what's that? I think her name starts with an A. Or I know she used to cover Florida State. I don't know if she still does. I forget her name. And a radio host reported by Off the Bench. And Jean's not really a guest, though. I guess. Teams need to be stronger and fast. Saban said Bryce Young threw 5 T's and 2 against the first team defense. I just want to see how the QBs look. Speaking of QBs, let's talk about QBs for a minute. There's been a lot has been made over Travis, Milton, and Rodemaker, and what Purdy sitting on the outside. And from what I'm hearing from Purdy is that some of that has to do with his own personal decisions in his party life, which to why his shoulder, Andrea Allison, there you go, Wayne. That's what I meant. That stuff with Purdy, apparently he re-injured himself doing a little bit of bonehead stuff, but that's neither here nor there. That's just a rumor. Tallahassee's a small place. Information tends to get out. But let's speak about the 3 guys that we are going to definitely see Saturday. There's been a lot of talk of Rodemaker getting majority of the snaps, and that Rodemaker may be the number 1 QB. Rodemaker may be the guy that everybody's leaning towards. Let's break it down. Common sense. Let's break it down common sense style, guys. You have a guy in Mackenzie Milton who has played enough football that he doesn't need to necessarily take all the first team reps. What Mackenzie Milton needs to readjust to is the speed of the game, and he's not really going to get that in these scrimmages and in these practices. Definitely the practices. He's not going to get that. And what he needs to do is build a rapport with his receivers. And he doesn't need practice to build a rapport when people are trying to work on technique, routes, name it. That's what they're working on. He can do that after practice, throwing and running routes 2-3 hours after practice. Same thing with Jordan Travis. That's another seasoned starter who's played plenty of snaps, plenty of minutes, and plenty of games. He has his own accuracy things and things that he needs to work on. The guy that needs the most snaps, the guy that needs to dive the most into the playbook is the guy that's getting all of the snaps right now, and that's Tate Rodemaker. But that does not mean, and I repeat, that does not mean that Rodemaker is even competing for the backup job. I just want to be very clear on that. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know who's going to be the starter because from what I'm hearing, Jordan Travis has been very good this spring. Kusami Hayes was going on. Very good this spring. And that's awesome that he's been very good. Jordan Travis has been very good. Milton has been eased into the playbook and been eased into everything going on. So that's cool. But everybody's talking about Rodemaker and he looks great and he's getting bulk of the snaps. Well, he should be getting the bulk of the snaps. But that's because this team has to prepare, this staff has to prepare for a worst case scenario. And your worst case scenario is that Milton and Travis both get banged up during the season. Rodemaker's got to be the third guy, but he's got to be ready to play. That's why he's going to get majority of this of these snaps. That's why he's got to get a majority of these snaps. Basically, to the Purdy question, that everybody's like, well, what happened with Purdy? From what I heard, it's a rumor, so take it with a grain of salt, and it doesn't mean it's true by any means. From what I heard about Purdy, the reason why he re-injured the shoulder and hasn't been, from what I heard, he's not even on campus and hasn't been on campus for a while now. He was doing like keg stands and hurt his shoulder. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying I'm putting it out there because that's what I heard. The man hurt himself. And one of the best abilities, if not the best ability, is always going to be availability. And it's hard to defend Purdy if he's not available. Even if you think the kid has a bunch of potential and has a bright future, people keep asking who's the guy that's most likely to transfer. If you had to ask right now, it's got to be Chubba Purdy. I mean, Rodemaker is in there with the staff. Milton has 1 year, so we're not worried about him. So going into next year, you got 3 quarterbacks. You're going to potentially bring in 2. If one guy's going to leave, I think it's going to be Purdy. He got an unfortunate injury, but he also hasn't done himself any favors. Yeah, and that was also one of the rumors for the tour of duty. Purdy was throwing up. That part wasn't a rumor, but one of the rumors that why he was throwing up on the field had to do with he maybe was partying too hard during the off season. So Purdy might have some maturity things to work on. Don't want to get too down on a college kid having fun, but you also have to understand you're here to be the quarterback of Florida State University. Kevin says why people shit on Shannon like he has nothing to offer. If he resurrected his career at Alabama, it would be praise. How many bum coaches were allowed to redeem themselves at Bama? I don't know who's Kevin responding to, but decent point. I don't know why, and I'm not saying too many people have been knocking the move, but to your point, how many coaches who didn't end well at their previous spots go over to Bama, become an analyst, and end up getting another head coaching job, or Saban promotes them within the system and becomes a coordinator or position coach again. Shannon's not hurting anybody by being on the staff at all. Rodemaker should have got the snaps he's getting now last offseason. They didn't think Purdy would be banged up. What up? I hope Purdy gets it straightened out. Would love to see him turn it around and compete. I think we all would love to see him. I think we all thought 4-star QB, blue chip quarterback coming in. We hadn't had a quarterback prospect in like two years. We thought Purdy was going to be the next, or at least get that opportunity to be the next guy. and unfortunately, it hasn't really worked out for him. I still will stand on. I think Milton ends up with the job. I have a hard time. Again, I have a hard time. I have a hard time seeing Norvell throw Milton on the bench, and this is all about health. And from everything I've heard, Milton is 100% healthy. But I have a hard time seeing you putting Mackenzie Milton on the bench for Travis and then being able to come back to Milton. Milton didn't come over here in his final year of eligibility trying to make the NFL to sit on the bench. I think it's easier if Milton just doesn't have it anymore or the speed of the game passed them by. And I know this isn't saying good. I know this is like people are like, oh, you're going to put Jordan Travis through this again. I got it. But I honestly think it's easier to make the move from Milton to Travis than it is to make the move from Travis to Milton. So I expect Milton to be your day one guy. And I think it's a great thing that Travis has upped his game to the point that he has. If Purdy transfers, we might bring in 3 QBs this class pending Chuba's status. 3 would be a bit ridiculous. 2 for sure, because you can redshirt 1, keep 1, so therefore that offsets them. One's gonna have more eligibility. So definitely bring in 2. 3 becomes you're just asking for another transfer, in my opinion. You're definitely gonna bring in 2. You're definitely gonna bring in 2. You're gonna go into this offseason with 3. You bring in 2. You have a quarterback stable of 5. Let's expect attrition, and 1 leaves. That's still 4. Now, you could bring in an athlete that maybe who you can plug and play if you needed to, but I think 2 surefire quarterbacks for sure. Encyclopedia says, Rose, I'm ignorant when it comes to the February, July area of college football. I care more about the wins and L's and coaching ability than regional titles. We've had so many busts that I don't value recruiting as much. It's so dumb with recruiting now because it feels like half of our class ends up somewhere else anyway. I see Purdy transferring, especially if AJ and MJ both sign. That would be interesting, Wayne. I don't think we get AJ and MJ. I think we get one of the 2. And I think Nico sticks it out for sure. And Tyler says the myth of Jeff Sims. Rose says, Irv, exactly. He is far behind in the playbook. He's definitely far behind in the playbook in the reps. He's definitely far behind. Even if Purdy is able to go this fall, yeah, I don't expect Purdy to see the field. Tate may be turned off by all the QBs we're offering. Well, that's unfortunate because you're not. If Tate was going to be turned off by all the quarterbacks, then Tate should have went to Rice or Houston or hell UCF, USF, FAU, FIU. He's from Georgia, right? So he should have went to Georgia Southern. You don't come to Florida State and get turned off by the fact that they're recruiting other kids at your position because that's a given. So if Tate's turned off by it, oh well. As you said, not Tate. I mean, Chubb. Even if Chubb was turned off by it, oh well. What did you think you were going to sign and they weren't going to recruit another quarterback in 4 years while you were here? Not going to happen. And Tyler says the legend of Jeff Sims. There is no legend of Jeff Sims, but shout out to Jeff Sims. At least he's available. I seen where Nico been tweeting Duffy. That's interesting. I would prefer MJ, but Nico and Duffy, I'll take it. I prefer MJ Morris, but I'll take it. Can Shannon recruit defensive line? Sure he can. Randy Shannon wasn't brought in to really specify on a particular position, Jen. I understand why you're asking that, but again, I'm not gonna open that can of worms again. But he was there to get us just in the building to get those relationships. I'll be interested to know how many defensive tackles are visiting this weekend. I would definitely be interested to know that. I wonder which wideouts are going to step up. Todd, our best wideout isn't on camp. I would argue that our best two wideouts aren't on the campus yet. Have you seen the list of recruits that are attending? It's crazy. Yeah, I said it. We got 50, 60 guys. A lot of people don't think that some of these kids won't make it, especially if it's going to be rainy. That number probably won't be that close. But I think Tyler said it earlier, if you can get half of the list, that's still a big time pull. And some people are expecting at least a few commits come Saturday. He beat FSU. That has to be legendary for an ACC quarterback. I guess so. I guess if beating that Florida State team makes him a legend, then he's a legend. Haven't seen much of MJ Morris. Is his tape better than Nico's? His sophomore tape, no. Nico's junior tape was a little bit. He suffered with a lot of injuries. As far as MJ Morris goes, I think his overall tape is better than Nico's. I don't know if his passing ability is better, but MJ is just a better all-around athlete with a better upside. If Travis is taking the leap, as they say, what's our ceiling? If Milton wins the job, what's our ceiling? That's a decent question, Kevin. Milton, the ceiling's fairly. With Milton, you're hoping that he can return to the UCF form that he had. Okay? With Milton, there's no ceiling. He's a one-stop gap. He's a one-stop guy. You're not getting 2 or 3 years out of Mackenzie Milton. With Travis, obviously the ceiling's higher if his play's improved. It's an interesting question. I'm not too much worried about the ceiling when talking those two particular quarterbacks, because one guy's been in college, 6 years? The other one's been in college 4 years. Both of those guys have been in college for a while now. Neither one of them have particularly high ceilings. I'd be more interested to talk the ceiling of these younger guys, maybe the two that we're going to get, Rodemaker, Purdy. That's the guys I'll look at the ceilings. But what Travis and what Milton are going to give you, they give you a solid floor. Meaning, if one guy gets hurt, I think you're in good hands regardless. And maybe I could be wrong on that. Maybe Jordan Travis has a ton of room to continue to grow. And I still do think he has a room to grow. But I just look at it from age, numbers. He still has been in college for 4 years. I don't think we can expect him to turn into this. If he was going to be this guy, he'd be this guy already. That doesn't mean he can't be an effective quarterback going forward. Someday I want to tell my story about meeting Ron Simmons. Purdy was a part of a transition class, which they usually have more transfers. They did a good job closing that class out. This last year was the year we took all the transfers, huh? So we'll see how that turns out. The last MJ to come to FSU, been a disappointment. Who was the last MJ? MJ Walker? Is that you talking about, Terrence? He disappointed but they say he wasn't healthy, but MJ Walker disappointed in the tournament for sure. But I think your best wide receivers are Parchment and Dustin Hill. So you're not going to see too much at it. Obviously, what are you going to look for in the spring? I guess, do we get a Jordan Young sighting in the spring? Do we get Ontario Wilson, Keyshawn Helton? How do those guys look? Obviously, we're going to be paying attention to the freshmen. Tight end wise, there's a lot of key positions that you need to pay attention to. I just don't personally think, with the way things are kind of shaping up, I don't really know if you can pull anything too much out of the spring. Tyler says, Michael Alford just tweeted something interesting. Reads like a commitment, but I think it may be a bid donation. Okay. So, yep, I don't think you take too much out of this spring going forward. So, because of that, I mean, I'll let you guys tell me what are you guys looking for in the spring? Because me, I'll be very interested to see how that starting offensive line unit's gonna look. Me personally, I'm pretty positive that our starters are not gonna be what we're starting with in the spring come the fall. I know for a fact Love Taylor's not gonna be playing. And I know for a fact Love Taylor will be starting come the fall. And I also believe they're gonna add another one or two linemen, offensive linemen. I'm hearing some guys they're convincing some guys to walk on for as linemen. Um, I don't think that you're going to see the same offensive line come the fall. So while I'm very interested to see how some of the younger guys grew or have grown, I don't expect too much. Man, I really think when I take a step back, I think we're all just going to be excited to see this team on the field. Clayton Welch says no injuries. That's the biggest thing, Clayton. You hit the nail on the head. Just finished the spring with no major injuries, and we're good to go there. Because honestly, I think if you take a step back and you look at this entire team as a whole, what you're gonna see Saturday isn't even gonna be nowhere near the finished product. I'm almost confident about that. Offensive line, wide receivers are missing guys, linebackers. Yeah, I don't think what you're gonna see is what we're gonna see in the fall at all. Like not even gonna resemble it. I really think they just needed this work this time, but I don't really think we're gonna take much of anything from this game. Tyler says, shout out to Trayshawn Ward. I'm excited to see him featured. Top Hope looking for the O line and the wideouts. We got an O line walk on from Clemson. I don't know if it's confirmed yet. Yeah, he's out of Fort Lauderdale. He was a 3-star coming out. Matter of fact, I talked to. Shout out to Norvell Central. He messaged me and basically said that I'm gonna read what he messaged me. Norvell Central basically said he's gotten word that his name is Bo Tang. He's gotten word that Bo Tang's high school coach, it was a PWO offer, and also got a word that the Kent State guy. Remember last week I talked about a Kent State guy who tweeted that he was offered by Florida State, but that is being reported or being talked about that is also a walk-on offer. Could be a scholarship later on down the line if nothing else comes up. But they're kind of playing that particular one close and waiting to see what's happened. So even if you're able to get two of those guys to walk on, I think the kid from Kent State, I honestly believe they would move him into center. I think they're looking to upgrade that center position. I'm about 80 to 90% confident that I don't think they're down on Maurice Smith. I don't think Maurice Smith physically developed the way they needed him or wanted him. I heard Maurice Smith came into the camp even lighter than he was last year, and the kid maybe was all but 280 last year. They need some beef and some size up front. So the way I look at it is they're probably looking to put somebody at center. At the end of the day, they're just trying to add depth. Center, if you move Love Taylor inside, I think that kid that out of Clemson will be your next starting tackle. He has the frame that I always talk about when we talk about tackles. That kid's 6'5", 290, or at least he was 6'5", 290 coming out of high school. He's probably bigger than that now. What do you think about Ward earning a scholarship? If he earns it, he should definitely get a scholarship. Him, Preston Daniels, there's a few walk-ons that they consistently talk about. No productions in the building. We're going to be so much bigger, stronger, and faster when the falls come. We're just going to have different big-time players. Again, Parchment, I think, is – people are sleeping on him. I think people are sleeping on him. I think we've been hearing a lot how if you notice when Florida State talks their when Florida State talks their receivers, they always talk about the young guys, don't they? They never talk about Ontario, Keyshawn. They always talk about these young guys. So Parchment him working out with NFL players. I think Parchment is going to come on this campus and certify himself as the number one guy. And I think Destin Hill is just a kid that, again, you're talking 6'3", 4'3", 8". I don't think there's no one else on our roster, especially at the wide receiver position, that's going to bring what Destin Hill's going to bring to the table. Those two guys will play. I think the only goal for this staff this spring was team building and gelling. They'll get the X's and O's during the summer. I chatted with a 5-star running back, Richard Young's cousin, yesterday. He said he looking at FSU heavily. No, Trayshawn Ward is on scholarship. Just came out last week. He was put on the scholarship. That's good to hear. Definitely deserved it. Spring is for the younger players to show their ability and where they might fit in the summer. Polk, you're right. You can't place much weight on spring. Yeah, I don't think we're placing. And just again, the way they're deciding to hold spring, we have been dealt blows with injuries. Emmett Rice is being reported to be done for the season. We'll see what happens there. I think Leonard Warner hasn't participated at all this spring either. Love Taylor, probably our best offensive lineman, hasn't participated in the spring. We've been banged up. We've been. I'll be interested to see how Amari Gaynor moves at that middle linebacker spot. I will be interested to see there. Again, I'm not going to take too much from it, but I'll be interested to see how he moves, how he can diagnose certain plays. So there are definitely certain individual matchups and things that I'm going to be looking for. But ultimately, I really think what you're going to see Saturday is going to be totally different than what you see in the fall. These cats from the Midwest never pan out for us anyway. Malik going to play. I think Malik is going to – again, Montre mentioned Malik. That's another guy who I think he's just different than anything you have. 6'5". You don't have anybody else on the roster like Malik. So I can understand Malik potentially getting some burn. My thing with Malik is he's a little bit on the light side. He needs some more physical development. I think, Dustin Hill, you're getting a guy in Dustin Hill who's already 6 foot and 200 plus and running 4.3. Again, nobody on the roster is bringing that to the table. It came out. He's been on scholarship since like January. I'm going to the spring game on my birthday. Shout out to Jalen. Said he's going to be there. You going to be there, Jalen? That's what's up. The 11th is my birthday, so that'll be an early birthday present for me. But other matchups, that's about it. Defensively, I don't know. Defensively, I don't know how much we're really going to be able to diagnose. I think everybody's really. I think if you had to put it in order, I think everybody's focus is going to be quarterbacks, offensive line, and then they're just going to want to see they're going to want to see defense. There you go. No Productions for my birthday. Can we get 1,000 subscribers so I can start making a little bit of pennies doing this? So 1,000 subscribers would really be appreciated for my birthday. Thanks, guys. But I think defensively, people are really going to want to see where they lining up our DBs. Who's lining up where at DB? I think, who are the 2 starting corners? I think we have a good idea who the safeties might be. I think a lot of things in that secondary in particular, man, are really questionable. Because I don't think they've said anything officially. I think there's only 2 positions that may be certified locked. That's Jamie Robinson at that nickel, and that's Travis J at probably free safety. I don't know who the strong is going to be. From what I've heard recently, Green McKnight has kind of come on lately. And Gant, while I like Gant, I think Gant is solid. Gant might be having some guys nipping at his heels. I don't know how much Brandon Moore or Miko Dotson have participated this spring. More so, Moore. I heard Brandon Moore was 100% healthy and 100% go, but my guess would be that they'd be holding the reins back on him a little bit, just because he is coming off of a knee injury and you don't want to take any chances. You rather save him for the fall. That's another guy who's been in college 4 or 5 years and more. He doesn't necessarily need the spring. He just needs to be healthy for the fall. And then so yeah, I don't know. I think the secondary man is going to be very fun to watch, just to see who lines up and who plays where. I will be interested to see Gainer, Quayshawn Fuller, McClendon. Those are two defensive ends that are being told. We're being told they're playing well. Quayshawn Fuller, McClendon. If it's true and they're playing well and they can add some much needed depth, that's awesome. I expect Jermaine Johnson to. I expect FSU to really keep the reins on Jermaine Johnson. I think he would be a terror in this spring game, and he wouldn't give the quarterbacks a chance to probably do things that he needs to do, that these quarterbacks need to do in reading and running, throwing the right pass. You got to put a little bit of a leash on Jermaine Johnson and don't just go out there and let him wreak havoc. So that's kind of what I expect there. I will be interested in seeing some of the younger defensive ends, but even the defensive end guys, like I was saying earlier, Byron Turner, Patrick Payton, George Wilson, these guys might have a lot to say come the fall when you start talking about rushing the passer. So again, we're all going to be excited to watch these guys. We're all going to be excited to watch just Florida State football in Doak, soon to be, who knows, soon to be Crown Royals, Hennessy Stadium. That's what I'm bidding for. Let's make it Hennessy Stadium at Bobby Bowden Field. Yeah, Hennessy Stadium, soon to be Hennessy Stadium. But I think we're just excited to see the garnet and gold on the field again, obviously. So, but I just want to, reel everybody back in and let everybody understand, do not take whatever we see too serious. This team's definitely still a work in progress, but they're missing so many key players are missing from this spring that are going to be factors come the fall that I don't know how much you can really take from it, man. He said Polk County Stadium. I don't think that works up there. But I'll take Crown Royal or Hennessy Stadium for sure. Moore's going to be huge for us. I saw Brandon Moore in a few highlights. I think Gainer might be a great mic. I hope so. What do you think about the proposed stadium upgrades? I think those are awesome. From what I heard, I think they're going to reduce the overall total capacity, but getting rid of the bleachers in there, that's going to be a big upgrade. Again, that's at $100 million that these guys raise, that these boosters raise. So all this talk about Florida State being broke. Again, I told you guys that's not counting in that $100 million that these guys raised. They're gonna upgrade the stadium. They're gonna break ground on this football-only facility. There's a lot of things to be excited about, Florida State fans, going forward. There's a lot of Norvell's getting Norvell. I don't know if lucky's the word, but things are coming along at the right time for Mike. So it looks to me like Mike's gonna have all the support system in the world. He's gonna have the financial backing to really. Basically, what I'm saying is, if Mike fails, it's because Mike fails. People want to make excuses for other coaches. We're not going to get into that they didn't have backing of the staff and da-da-da. Okay, cool. I feel like if Mike fails, then Mike fails. Because there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that are in his favor. And they're making the necessary moves. As you can see with the Randy Shannon and the Ryan Bartow. I believe the necessary moves are Remy Stadium are definitely being made. Encyclopedia says it's always going to be Doak Campbell Stadium to some, and to some it's not. I mean, I get it. Doak just runs off the mouth, but I'll do Hennessy Stadium. Have to remember this is still very beginning of a long rebuild, so temper the expectations. I think reducing capacity, increasing comfort is the way to go. More consistent money, and the stadium will look more full on average. Not only that, but if people enjoy coming to games, there you go. Um, there you go. Adding like the Wi-Fi and the stuff like that. Like if you make it a more modern stadium, there you go. I'm definitely with you there. Um, so yeah, man. Again, I'm gonna live stream the spring game. We're gonna live stream it. I'm trying to see if I can find a way to put it on without getting like flagged. But because I think it's ACC network, I might be able to get away with it. Um, if I can't, you guys can just watch along while I watch and talk and discuss what we're seeing. And then right after that, we're going on Mark Rogers and we're gonna talk about it. I'll be interested to see whatever those competition drills are. I'm guessing they're going to be doing stuff like running the 40s, maybe doing some one-on-ones. I remember one spring game they had I think they've done this actually multiple times, but I can remember one or two for sure where they had the legends, the former FSU greats play flag football. I don't know if that's a thing that they're doing this year. Um, I think Mike's going to try to make it somewhat of a spectacle his first year around. So shout out to Mike. And definitely you get all those kids on campus. Maybe if the weather can hold up, you might be able to do some things. What do you guys think? How many commits? How many guys? Y'all over or under 3 commits this Saturday? What do you guys think? Jalen said Twitch. What are you talking about, Twitch? Oh, Jalen, you see the PS5 in the back, don't you? Or maybe you might can't see it because of the banner, Jalen. Hold on, let me. Damn, then my name's in the way. Hold on, let me change it. There she is. There she goes. Hopefully we have butts in the new seats and not people staying inside. The main criticism I see of the upgrades are that people don't sit in the Champions Club seats even though they're sold out. No Squad says under the 3. Jalen's gonna commit Saturday, guys. Jalen, what I tell you about, don't rush your commitment, man. Rose's going over 3. I'll take the under, even though I don't gamble. Tyler thinking 1 max, and I hope they subvert my expectations. I'm going under as well. But I could see even. I could see it being even, but I think 1 or 2. I mean, yes, that's a lot of kids. And kids can get caught up in the hype. But I think 1 or 2 might pop come Saturday. 1 or 2 might pop. I probably would go 2. I'm gonna go under, but I would go about, I think 2 are gonna pop. And it would be cool to see more, but I definitely think at least 2. I'll take 2. Does the following few Top Hope says 5 commits. Duffy or MJ will commit, and I believe we get a 2022 and a 2023 as well. Well, that's fair. I kind of was counting more so this year, not so much future guys. But if you're thinking future guys, you might be right. You might get 2 or 3 future guys as well. Does the following few days count? Good question. The weekend counts. Monday doesn't. Give me Saturday, Sunday. I kind of don't want to go into Monday, Tuesday, and all of that. I think then give me Monday, give me the weekend, Give me Saturday, Sunday. You commit in those 2 days. Those will count towards the spring game. Anything that comes into the next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll say won't count. If we go out there and we ball out, we might get multiple. I don't think Duffy or MJ will commit, Rose. I think MJ is going to be down to the wire. I talked about him before. I think Georgia Tech is going to be into his recruitment till the end. And AJ, I still don't even know where AJ Duffy's head's at. He was supposed to commit one or 2 weeks ago. Been Arizona State lean this entire time. Don't know. FSU Rose says between Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, that's how I do it. Between Saturday and Sunday. After that, that doesn't count towards the spring, even if it's Monday. So, absolutely. But as you can see, it's been pretty steadfast on the Florida State front. So awesome to see that. I have a lot of my family is a huge Georgia Tech fans, and they hate the new coach. They wanted to keep. Why would they want to keep Paul? Your family's Georgia Tech fans. They want to keep Paul Johnson. Now, I'm not necessarily saying Paul Johnson was a bad coach or anything, but the triple option. Look, while the triple option is extremely effective football, it's not gonna. No one wants to play unless you're a running back. No one wants to play in the triple option. Morris did say if he was put in a situation where he would have to rush his commitment, he would. I don't know why FSU would rush him though. I don't know why we would rush him. I don't think he needs to be rushed. So I don't know. No reason to rush him, in my opinion. That's just me, though. What else do you guys got? Or this will be maybe one of the shorter episodes of The Hangover because I don't really have too much. Just wanted to go over Randy Shannon. Just wanted to talk about this upcoming spring game. What else are you guys looking forward to? What other questions do you got? If we got nothing else, we can wrap it up here very shortly. I don't think Georgia Tech can out recruit the big schools, so they'd rather play to their strengths. Well, here's the thing. I think maybe the academics may hold Georgia Tech back a tad, Tyler. So maybe that is something that they're worried about. But I disagree that a school in the heart of Atlanta doesn't think that they can recruit with the big boys. Maybe the academics can hold them back a tad bit. But we're talking about a school in Atlanta that if they're playing fun football that people want to watch, football that quarterbacks can thrive in and receivers can, if they're doing that, I think Georgia Tech can really be a sleeping giant here in the ACC. I really do. And Paul Johnson wasn't going to get him there. Now, maybe they don't like the attitude of this new coach that they got. And that maybe, I listened to the man talk. He's a little bit of a head case potentially, but he might be the kind of guy they need to give them that kind of flavor they need. Because right now, the Bulldogs have the state of Georgia on lock. He wasn't saying that about FSU. He was saying about in general. Okay, Rosa, I got you. Georgia Tech days is over. Clemson lost a lot. It's only one team that's primed and ready. Miami. Okay. I've been hearing rumors of us in the top 25. I doubt it, Jalen. There is nothing that would. No, there's no reason why we need to be a top 25 team. Georgia Tech is a sleeping giant. Don't sleep on them. Georgia Tech girls are ugly. Just being honest, that's what's holding them back. The ratio sucks, and they average a 5 at best. Probably again, those academics, man. Those academics at Georgia Tech, they probably don't get they don't get the dime pieces they supposed to get. Plus, again, Atlanta. Some would argue Atlanta is the capital of the South. just speaking, all the beautiful black girls probably go to the HBCUs in Atlanta and whatnot. They're not probably going to Georgia Tech, so I do understand that. And the Dolphins need to go and get Kyle Pitts. Speaking of Kyle Pitts, I got to post those videos of our discussions on Kyle Pitts. POLK, thank you for serving the country. Good night and go Canes. Thank you, John. Agreed on Georgia Tech as a sleeping giant. There you go. So that's really, unless we got more questions, you guys just want to keep the conversation going for a little bit. That's really all I have tonight. Just a quick episode. Again, Randy Shannon, solid pickup in my opinion. Just the recap. I thought Randy Shannon, a solid pickup. He's the guy that's going to get us in the door in South Florida. Maybe he can pick up the slack. Somebody asked earlier, can Randy Shannon recruit defensive linemen? More so, we're talking about defensive tackles. We'll see. Maybe he can pick up the slack for our boy Odell. Yeah, I did see us picking up that kicker, Tyler. Our kicking game wasn't great last year, so we definitely kind of need to upgrade that positions too. Georgia Tech may not have the best looking girls, but Georgia State and the HBCUs, mainly Spelman. That's what I'm talking about, Wayne. That's exactly my point. all the women are going to those HBCUs. And Georgia Tech has those high academic standards. It's kind of holding them back maybe on the female part of the equation. But I don't know. I think Georgia Tech has the money, the resources, and the location to be a player if they want to invest into it. Any news on the O-line and the portal that we're trying to get? Only that I talked about a little bit earlier, Irv. Only that they didn't really, that they're potential walk-ons. FSU's holding that last scholarship spot very close to the heart. I don't necessarily blame them. They're either waiting for the right guy to throw that scholarship at, and all these other guys who they kind of see some potential in, or that they potentially would want, that they're in contact with them, but they want them to walk on. I don't know. We'll see if that backfires, but they're holding that last scholarship spot pretty close. Georgia Tech is a bunch of nerds who don't care about football. Half my friends from high school went there, and they asked if they went to the games, and they said they didn't know anyone who did. I feel you. I feel you on that one, but I tell you this. Stanford is another school similar to Georgia Tech that bunch of nerds don't care about football per se. Stanford has, especially in the last probably 10 years, Stanford's invested in that program, and they've recruited fairly decently over there at Stanford. I think Georgia Tech could be the East Coast Stanford if they want it to be. Pat in the building. Yep, so we're going to wrap it up here, guys. The numbers are kind of dwindling down slowly. Plus, I think War Chant is live, so I think people are probably transitioning over there. Plus, I'm kind of done. I don't have anything else to really talk about. So there you go. FAMU, Bethune. If I went to any of them schools when I was younger, I would have had about 5 kids. Irv says, you got to admit, I was so glad to see Georgia Tech triple option gone. It was a work of art when it was clicking. It's triple option football is tough to coach against, man. It's tough to coach against. It's not the funnest thing to watch, but it's tough to coach against those cut blocks. And I'm with you. I'm glad it's gone. Georgia State is the largest school in Georgia, and they're starting to put a lot of money in their football program. That could be the player in a decade, and peace, bro. There we go. So, yep, I'm going to close it out here again. I don't really have too much else to talk about. Y'all will see me again this week. That is the plan. Y'all definitely see me on Saturday. So, thanks everybody for coming through. Let's get me to 1,000. I'm at 1. Did we gain any subscribers? I'm at 997, man. We're 3 away. My birthday is Sunday. Get 1,000. Let's get me to 1,000 by Sunday, and we can celebrate together. Shout out to everybody in the chat. If you didn't hit the like button on your way in, hit your like button on your way out. It's your boy POLK over here on 863 Seminole TV. Y'all have a great night. Stay classy, Seminoles, and we at you.